Entry number 1. The Blink. The next wipe is in 20 minutes and 4 seconds. Whatever you do, please, just listen. All that's important is that I keep trying, relaying as much information as possible. If this happens to you at any point in the future, it is absolutely essential that you know what I'm about to say, because then you may be able to stop it if it leaves here. 19 minutes and 50 seconds left. Let's make that time count. Here's my story. Red Pier, Alaska. It's where I live at the moment, and where at least 60 others do as well, along with about 140 tourists. Most of them are gone now, but that's beside the point. It's totally isolated from any other town on the map. There's a reason you've never heard of it. If you look up a map on Google Earth, you'll find an empty square of ocean where our island is located. If you somehow brave the wilderness to make it here, you'll find that there are no bridges, no ports, and no landing strips anywhere near our location. In fact, if you try to find us, chances are you won't even be able to see us amidst the fog. It's because nothing was meant to leave here. It wasn't always like this. About 65 hours ago, we were just your average winter getaway town. Hell, maybe we even had bridges and landing strips then. Skiing was our main attraction, pretty much because we had nothing else to offer. Besides, snow was our weather forecast 24/7, and I don't think we'd ever had a sunny day since the town was founded. At least, that's what I picked up from a brochure. Christ, what I'd give to see a sun now. I don't even know what one looks like anymore. I know what it is. It's like it just comes as natural knowledge, the concept of it, but I can't pair it with any relatable sense. It's as if you're trying to draw a scene from a book. You can never know what it really looks like in the author's head, except here, it always feels like something's missing. I'm going to be honest, I don't know why I'm here in Red Pier. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I did for a living. I don't know if anyone else knows I'm stranded. All I know at the moment, in fact, the only thing I know for sure, is that 2 days ago, at 2:09 p.m., everything went black. This is what I've been able to piece together from CCTV footage. Everything was normal leading up to the event, with important-looking men and women leisurely walking around town, stopping in shops for some souvenir trinkets. Any semblance of light that managed to permeate the thick cloud layer vanished in a matter of seconds. It went from day to night in the blink of an eye. The power lines running from the only power plant on the island went out instantaneously. Every light source, save for the fire in the hearts of the ski lodges, had been extinguished. Naturally, the worst-case scenario was assumed. Everyone else was trying to contact family and ask if anyone else was experiencing the blackout. The town council tried to ring up the weather bureau to find out what could be causing it, but all the phone signals were dead. Worse still, the emergency spotlights wouldn't come on. We were now totally isolated, even more than before. Frantically, people declared that there can only be an absolutely massive storm incoming, seeing no other explanation, and the town went into lockdown. The tourists all lodged in the cabins, boarding up the windows and sealing the doors in preparation for the worst. But nothing happened for 2 hours. The sky stayed black, the power stayed off, and the doors stayed shut. Everyone was huddled inside, crouching in absolute silence at the anticipation of whatever event was to befall the quiet town. Eventually, the council issued an announcement over the loudspeaker, saying that they were still trying to figure out what was happening, and that everyone should remain indoors until further notice. And that, as far as I can gather, is when the first wipe came. At 4:09 p.m. exactly, in the span of less than a second, the following occurred. The power came back on across town. All at once, the TV sets turned back on, the lights flickered back into life, and the spotlights began sweeping across the snow-covered streets. The sky lit up in a brilliant flash, similar to lightning, but stretching across the entire island, coming from no apparent source. What does real lightning even look like? I only know what it is from the snowboard designs in the tourist center. Imagine it looks terrifying. And every single person on the island, including me, blinked simultaneously in a single fluid motion. Then everything went black again. We woke up, looked around, and realized nothing. We couldn't realize anything because we had all lost ability to process information. We had lost all ability to do anything. I remember not remembering. My mind was just empty. No, don't imagine. That's exactly it. Just try not imagining, not thinking, not being able to connect any of your senses to your surroundings. That's how it felt, or would have, if we had the ability to perceive what we were feeling. There was panic at first, if you could call it that. People flailing all over the floor, men and women feeling around their heads as if they're trying to clutch at their unconscious minds. Soon after people had gotten a grip on what was where, it didn't take long for fighting to break out. It was total chaos. That's when the abduction started. We don't know exactly what happened. Most of us couldn't register it. Among the crowd of frenzied people, one or two would have shining, writhing tendrils composed of light slowly creep out of his or her orifices, like vines growing through the cracks of a wall. Again, this is a concept I only know of from the framed pictures in the lobby. In the CCTV footage, you could hear the confused moans and screams of the people slowly being drowned out by a much louder, penetrating shriek. A terrifying whine of white noise created from the combined agony of all the people who had no ability to feel, or even understand anything. All the cameras went static for a split second, and when the footage returned, the people were gone, vanished without a trace. The fortunate souls who had avoided being taken over by the tendrils were completely unaware of the sudden disappearance of their colleagues, and many were completely unaware that they were even alive and breathing. I don't know who those people were. None of us will ever know. It's like they never existed. But the mind is a fantastic contraption. Even when all of its data is erased without warning, it still retains the most basic human ability to learn. As the hours passed, those of us who survived began to realize that we could place our senses. As we stumbled our way down the empty corridors, we began to grasp at what we were seeing, the fact that we were seeing. We developed the ability to process, to comprehend, to put into action thoughts which came into our heads. Through the books and brochures in the tourist center, and by watching the videos stockpile in the boardroom, we eventually pieced together how to read, how to speak, and how to communicate. Self-preservation kicked in, and soon we began to fight, not out of confusion, but for survival. Resource gathering began, factions were made, and we eventually began to associate priorities with jobs and responsibilities. We were rebuilding society in complete isolation. Whoever we previously were became unimportant. Our identities didn't matter. I tried searching pockets to find some sort of name, but I couldn't find any. For now, we just refer to ourselves by letter. I'm H. Even though we had regained our sense of self, we still couldn't understand what had happened. I've tried working it out. It's possible the light takes the people with the slowest brain development first, still unable to process what is happening. An empty shell to hijack for whatever purpose it sees fit. I don't know who or what is doing this either, but they're up there, in the clouds, and they're waiting for our next move. We deduce that this happened 2 times already, and that they occur 22 hours apart to the minute, which means we've restarted civilization 3 times since. If it were any other situation, I'd be proud. All I have to say is, thank God the clocks here are analog. Keeping track of time is probably the most important skill we can have. In fact, I'm so focused on it that I barely notice anything else. But what I have noticed, going through the CCTV, is that every time the cameras turn to static, something disappears along with the people. First it was the IDs, I think. There were a few wallets lying on the ground that weren't there when the footage returned. Next, it was the pictures on the wall. Before the static, the lobby was lined with several examples of nature photography. But the next second, there were just blank frames. Most recently, it was the books. A few of them I had survived, but it became clear that whatever was causing it doesn't want us to learn and adapt from our environment. It wants to abduct us quietly, before we have any free will to say otherwise. Well, I for one am not giving in, and that's why I'm telling you this now. It doesn't matter if you don't believe me. This isn't for you. I need to have something physical to remember what happened after the next wipe comes. The next wipe. 1 minute and 7 seconds. Fuck. Listen, please, whatever you do, don't come looking for us. They will find you. You can't escape from here. Trust me, we've tried. The waters are too cold to swim in for even a minute before hypothermia sets in. At least 3 men have died trying. What worries me most is what could be next to vanish along with the people. I'm using a laptop I found for this right now, and it doesn't have much battery left. If they take this, or disable the internet, or even the CCTV, then I don't think I'm gonna last another wipe. Hell, I don't even know if sending this will work. If the council couldn't reach anyone, then it's unlikely this will either. 13 seconds left. Hitting submit now. Wish me luck. H.